Have you ever seen a groundbreaking scientific study, one that could literally change our world for the better, and then nothing happens? It just gathers dust in some academic journal? Well, there's this massive gap between a brilliant scientific insight and that idea actually becoming policy. Today, we're going to dive into a new framework, one that's supercharged by AI that aims to build a solid bridge across that divide. And this quote right here, it just gets to the heart of the matter. You know, if you're a scientist, the journey from your lab to the halls of power can feel, well, completely overwhelming. The whole point of this process isn't to solve everything all at once, but to take that very first crucial step with some real confidence. I mean, think about it like this. A scientist might have years of rock-solid data proving a city has, say, only 3 years of groundwater left. A huge deal, right? But to get anyone to act on it, they have to navigate this spaghetti of bureaucracy. We're talking engineering departments, city planners, politicians, and a dozen other specialists, and they all speak their own language. That vital, world-saving message, it just gets lost in translation. And this brings us right to the core of the problem, what we're calling the Great Divide. It's this fundamental, massive disconnect between the world of science and the world of policymaking. Okay, so what's so fascinating here is how this slide just lays out two completely different operating systems. It's like they're from different planets. Science speaks the language of data, of evidence, of peer review. Policy, on the other hand, it's all about economics, public opinion, and juggling competing interests. And you know who ends up in the middle? Economists. They often become the gatekeepers, translating everything into dollars and cents. And if your finding can't be valued in money, it's often seen as having no value at all. And this can have some seriously dangerous consequences. I mean, get this, an economist, William Nordhaus, actually won a prize for his work arguing that 3 degrees of warming would barely affect the GDP. At the exact same time, climate scientists were shouting from the rooftops that anything beyond 1.5 degrees would be absolutely devastating. It's a perfect, chilling example of how vital scientific warnings get pushed aside by a purely economic view of the world. So, how in the world do we fix this? Well, the first part of the solution is to create a new language. Think of it like a universal translator that lets science be understood in a way that policymakers already get and, more importantly, trust. This new language is built around a concept called real capital. It's a way of talking about the essential things we all rely on for society to even work. You know, things like clean air or a stable climate. The key here is that it lets us measure this value in a way that goes way beyond just dollars and cents, but still feels concrete and actionable to a policymaker. So first up is natural capital. This is the big one, the foundation for absolutely everything. We're talking about a stable climate, clean water, healthy ecosystems, all this stuff we tend to take for granted, but, can't survive without. Next, you've got human capital. That's us. It's our collective health, our skills, our education, our knowledge. A society just can't function or innovate without healthy, skilled, and educated people. Simple as that. Then we have social capital. This is all about the structures we build to work together. Things like our laws, our governments, and the trust that holds our communities and companies together. It's basically our ability to get organized and get things done. And finally, there's built capital. This is all the physical stuff. The roads we drive on, the houses we live in, the technology in our pockets. It's the tangible infrastructure of our everyday lives. And this visual just shows so brilliantly how it all connects. See, these 4 capitals aren't just separate categories. They're interconnected pillars holding everything up. You can't have a healthy society, human capital, without a healthy planet, natural capital. And you need organizations, social capital, to create all that infrastructure, built capital. It's a whole interconnected system. Okay, so we've got this powerful new language, but how does a single scientist actually use it to cut through all that bureaucratic spaghetti we talked about? Well, this is where the second part of the solution comes in, and it's a big one, the AI accelerator. And this is the real game changer. I mean, look at this contrast. What used to take months of meetings and trying to navigate dozens of different experts can now be drafted in about an hour. The right AI prompt can pull together all those different professional fields and just sail right through the complexity. It's incredible. So, how does it actually work? It's a surprisingly simple 3-step process. First, the scientist runs a sequence of carefully designed prompts, plugging in their own data. Second, and this part is absolutely critical, they review and refine what the AI spits out.
The AI is a powerful assistant, but the scientist is still the expert. And third, they share that final briefing document to get the real conversation started.
And that's the key. The goal here isn't to walk in with a stone tablet that has all the answers. The goal is to create an insight to policy briefing. It's a document designed to brilliantly frame the right questions in the language of real capital, making the issue absolutely impossible for policymakers to ignore. So, what does this look like in the real world? What's the actual benefit? Let's move away from the theory and look at a case study where this exact AI-driven process was used to tackle a huge planetary issue. So the scientific insight was this: burning fossil fuels is causing a measurable, irreversible drop in the oxygen in our atmosphere. Now that's a pretty scary finding, right? But how do you make a policymaker care about a tiny percentage drop in something that seems, well, infinite? You start with a shocking number. By 2015, humanity was consuming 38.2 gigatons of oxygen every single year. For perspective, that's up from just 2 gigatons in 1900. That massive jump instantly frames the scale of the problem. And here, right here, is the masterstroke. The brief presents the data using a balance sheet, an asset liability equity table. This is a tool every single business person and politician already understands. Our atmospheric oxygen is the asset. The 38.2 gigatons we burn through each year, that's the liability. The result is declining equity. All of a sudden, you're not talking about abstract environmental science anymore. You're talking about environmental insolvency. We are literally liquidating a core asset that we can never, ever replace. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, this process, combining the real capital framework with AI, it's not just a new tool, it really is a whole new kind of bridge. I absolutely love this quote because it just captures the spirit of this whole thing perfectly. It's not about scientists trying to bulldoze their way into policy debates. It's about building a bridge of shared understanding. It's about transforming a single, isolated scientific finding into a systemic challenge that everyone can see, understand, and talk about. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. If this process can truly turn incredibly complex science into a compelling, actionable brief in about an hour, it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities. So the real question for all of us is, what crucial insight should we translate next?